Half-Life 1 is very good. Even in a world with hundreds of more advanced shooters, even in a world with Black Mesa, Half-Life 1 is still very much worth going back to. But Half-Life 1 has never heard the phrase, save the best for last. Even most die-hard Half-Life fans would agree that Xen is bad. Even Valve themselves would agree that Xen is bad. Finally going to the source of every Vortigaunt, headcrab, and alien grunt you clapped throughout your journey should have been exciting and crazy, but instead Xen is dull, boring, smelly, and by Xen, I mean all of Xen, not just the chapter called Xen. To be totally fair, the level is at a disadvantage on its concept alone, because you can't have a bunch of human soldiers running around in an alien world, so no more exciting firefights. But that doesn't give Xen a free pass for its lack of fun combat. Half-Life 1 is full of fun moments that are completely devoid of soldier enemies. Most of the combat areas in Xen are just open areas with a lot of enemies. There's not much in the way of corners to duck around to evade incoming Vortigaunt lightning, not a whole lot of cover for you or your enemies to use to their advantage. It's just enemy spam. It's hard, but not in a good way. Enemies aren't placed with purpose, they're just there to cheaply make the area harder. Here's two alien grunts in a tiny space with very little cover. Let's just put a bunch of tentacles in this area, even though you can just long jump right past them. Look at this part. You fall down and there's enemies waiting for you. You don't get any cover, so your only option is to run to a corner, trying your hardest to take as few pot shots as possible, and awkwardly shoot at them from behind a pillar. Vortigaunts worked well in the tight hallways of Black Mesa, with corners and furniture you can use to avoid their hit-scan lightning. Encounters forced you to think quickly. Should I try to find cover before it attacks, or could I close the distance between us and kill it before it gets a chance to? But when you're faced with a bunch of them in an open space, you just gotta pray you have enough health to not die when you sprint towards each one. The alien controllers also fare much worse on Xen. You only fought them once in Black Mesa, but there, they were easy to keep track of within the rounded room, and you had plenty of space to dodge their attacks. Xen does this really nasty trick where it'll spawn a bunch at the top of a darkly lit room, and then they'll just all gradually float down you as you're busy dealing with other enemies. Xen also sucks at explaining things. I realize that they couldn't have a bunch of NPCs around to tell you where to go like the majority of the game, but subtly guiding the player in the right direction is kinda your job as a level designer. There's a testicle. Are you damaging it? Can it be damaged? If so, how much more damage does it need? What do these holes do? Well, they shoot you 50 feet in the air, giving you very little time to find somewhere to land. What are these yellow things for? Well, you see those statue things that don't look like they can be interacted with? They can be interacted with, and they fuse with the yellow things to make a portal for some reason. The aesthetics are drab, just a few frequently repeating alien terrain textures that don't do a very good job of contrasting with the enemies. Hope you don't have 1 health when you get to this part, because it's impossible to avoid damage. This thing takes forever to rise. My god. And these things take forever to heal. Alright, you know what? Oh yeah, it's the perfect capstone to Xen, in that it incorporates all of its most central flaws. It's a confusing and unsatisfying boss fight that'll leave you saying several times. There's no music, Nihilanth really only has 2 attacks. This whole battle feels rushed as hell, and that's because it was! Due to hardware and time constraints, Valve had to dial their plans for Xen way back, and now we're left with this. Xen would go on to get 2 more shots at greatness in Opposing Force and Blue Shift. In Opposing Force, you spent a grand total of 1 map there. And it's fine, I guess. It's alright. Your visit to Xen and Blue Shift is a fair bit longer, and it is decent. It's fine. Alright, again. The future is uncertain for Xen as of now. Will Crowbar Collective be able to finally deliver a satisfying end to Gordon's first adventure with the completion of Black Mesa? Probably. Am I doing damage? Half-Life 1 is very good, even in a world with hundreds of more advanced shooters, even in a world with Black Mesa. Half-Life 1 is still very much worth going back to. I love you, Half-Life 1. I need you, Half-Life 1. But Half-Life 1 is a game that has never heard the phrase, save the best for last. Zen. It's bad. Even most die-hard Half-Life fans would agree that Zen is bad. Even Valve themselves would agree that Zen is bad. Finally going to the source of every Vortigaunt, headcrab, and alien grunt you clapped throughout your journey should have been something that was exciting and crazy. But instead Zen is dull, boring, smelly,